Welcome back to the channel. Today I am walking you through the Easy Simply Egg Incubator. We just got this in the mail, and I'm not going to say it was an impulse purchase, but I will say that I did not do a ton of research on what incubator would be best. Rhett had kind of done some research on Amazon and read a whole bunch of different reviews, and he liked this one because it had a lot of really good reviews and a high amount of reviews, so we liked that. So it was kind of impulsed in that sense. I'm kind of overall happy with it. I haven't actually run it yet. This video, I'm actually going to be planning on slowly recording the whole process of incubating eggs, all the way from this egg came out of the coop today, all the way up into hatching. And I didn't see a ton of YouTube videos on this particular incubator, so I thought I would do one and see how it goes. Right now it is February 24th, and the whole egg process takes about 3 weeks is what I hear. So this is going to be about a 3-week process. Haven't actually run this yet officially with eggs in it, but I want to kind of walk you through the process of what I learned from reading the manual and kind of what I learned from watching a couple different YouTube videos about incubators. There were 2 on this one that I could find. They were okay, so hopefully this will be a bit more comprehensive. So the lid looks like this. So if yours looks like this, then we're on cue for a match. I think they do a couple other different models, and then of course things sort of change just based on marketing and what have you. This particular model is made in China, and I think the majority of them are, to be honest with you. I kind of get a kick out of the little animation on the top here. It's pretty cute and very, what do they call that? That's sort of like Yumi style. Anyway, I kind of like it. So there's your lid. Inside we have an actual fence. This is what your eggs are going to be housed in here. And then we have dividers to put between your eggs. I'll do an over top shot of this so you can actually see it go together. And then we have in the bottom here, there's a ventilation tray which does come out. And then in the base, there are like kind of troughs, if you can sort of see them there. And this is for water intake. I had no idea that humidity would be so important, but it is. So you do have to be adding water to this at intervals throughout the incubation period, which we'll go over. But essentially these plastic pieces are what's going to come in your box when you order the incubator. So you have your bottom tray. It does have a little like leak hole there in case you fill it too high. Your bottom tray, ventilation tray goes on top. And then you have kind of your egg guard, which just sits on top of your ventilation tray like that. And then you have your separation dividers to put in based on how many eggs you put in, how big they are. You do want to make sure that these are kind of loosely around the eggs. You don't want them tight, because the whole point of this tray being loose is that there is a little plastic stick that kind of fits in here, for lack of a better word, and it kind of turns on like a little circular motion there. And it's just right there. So again, I'll do a bit of a close-up of that so you can see it better. And that little pole rests in this little divot right here, and it turns, and as it turns, it just slides the eggs back and forth about every 2 hours, because egg rotation is important for incubating. So that's the setup. That's all it is. When I opened it, I was a little shocked at how simple it was. It's called Easy Simple. Ugh, that's funny. On the lid here, we have a little window for temperature. There's an LED light, which someone in their review was really excited about. I don't really understand the purpose of that yet. There's a little cog here for settings, and then an up and down arrow to adjust temperature. This needs to be at 38 degrees, and when you get it, they recommend plugging it in for a couple days to make sure that it stays at 38 degrees. Some people have reported that it's not the best at keeping temperature, or it's not the best at recording temperature. So it might say 38 on the top of the lid, but it's more like 34 inside. And so someone had put, just a loose thermometer in there that was able to kind of come out on a, anyway. they were able to kind of put their own temperature in there to find out what's going on. So that's the setup. I did run it for about 3 days with a bit of water in it, and it kept at 38 degrees consistently for the 3 days. When I took the lid off to kind of see where the water level was, the temperature gauge immediately started going down by 0.5 degree intervals. So it was like 37.5, and I think it dropped down to 36 degrees before I put the lid back on. So I felt like that sort of quick test was good enough for me. They say to be very careful about when you're choosing your eggs for incubation. You want larger eggs. You want them to be, you know, obviously no cracks or anything like that. And then they do actually recommend that your chickens be about a year old before you incubate their eggs. Our chickens are not a year old. I think they're like 9 months. But they actually said that if your chickens were born later in the year, that to take their eggs kind of come spring is better than if your chickens were born in the spring and to take their eggs in the fall. So we're a bit shy of a year, but our chickens are starting to produce like sizable eggs. And so, I don't know, I think it's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and give this a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll try again in a couple months. I have tried to pick mainly Andalusian eggs, or not Andalusian, Americana eggs, because they seem to be my favorite out of our flock. We have one cuckoo Marin, and she lays an egg like every day, so I have 3 of her eggs, and then I also have a few blue Andalusian eggs. I'm not a big fan of that breed, but just personality-wise, but they are really good egg layers. So we just have a mix of our chickens here to see what we get, and they also recommend that your eggs be about 4 to 7 days from fertilization. Now, apparently there is a way to tell if they're fertilized, but I just don't really feel like there is a way. I hear that the coating on them changes when they're fertilized. That's kind of all I've really heard. But I just took a selection. We have a lot of roosters. We have like 5 roosters for our 9 hens, which is way too many roosters, and they are active, let me tell you. So I'm not too worried about a low fertilization rate here. I think we'll be okay. But this is just a test run, and yeah, we're gonna kind of video the whole process, take you along, and show you how things go. So I don't know, let's fill it with water and see what happens and get this process going. And then we'll just keep catching up with you as we go along. I'll film the whole process. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up. I wanted to point this out, which also came in the kit as well. I actually kind of want to get this laminated so we can just use it over and over and over, but it essentially breaks down the whole month of the incubating process. So on day 1 here, you can see it says add full water only to the middle tank. And then on day 8, we add water into the middle 3 tanks. And on day 15, you add water to all the tanks. Now, it should actually have this kind of written the same, but on day 18, you actually want to stop turning your eggs. So I added that in there just for my own reference. So being day 1, we'll only fill that middle trough here, which you can see its walls are a little bit lower. And then on day 8, we fill all 3. And then on day 15, all of them get filled. And these ones are a little higher. So I'm assuming there's going to be some additional moisture needed as they come closer to hatching. So I'm going to fill that middle tank to start with. And then we'll add our ventilation tray here. Next is the cage for the eggs. And then we'll add our dividers. Now, these actually don't have to be like even. They can be on an angle if some of your eggs are smaller and some are larger, which actually is the case with a lot of ours. We have smaller eggs, and then I've actually got some eggs that are quite a bit larger. So that helps accommodate your egg spacing so that they can turn properly without actually inhibiting each other. So that's sort of what you want to see. There, I'm happy with that. And then again, this little spike kind of right here needs to fit right into this divider here, so you might need to get a little parallel. Because that's what's actually going to cause the eggs to turn as that little wheel rotates. Okay, I just put it on my bookshelf in the corner here. There's a plug behind, so that'll work great. So now that it's on, you can see that it's slowly climbing to temperature. When it reaches 38 degrees, that little light will turn off. If it goes below a danger zone temperature, it has an alarm, which will be really interesting if that wakes us up in the middle of the night. We have no recollection as to why that's going off, to let you know that it's actually dropping below temperature. So good benefit. We'll see how that goes if that happens. The LED light, again, I'm not super sure what the point of that is. I would have thought it would have been more like an oven light to light up the inside, but that's okay. And then the little cog here, you can press and hold to change your temperature. So right now it's obviously set to 38 degrees. And then it'll just slowly rise. It does reach temperature fairly quickly, and you can hear the fan potentially. There's a little whirring sound for the fan. When I had this thing going on practice, condensation came up all here like quite quickly. So obviously that humidity is really needed. I don't know that I actually heard it turn the eggs, but it only happens every 2 hours. So I think what I might do is set an alarm for like an hour and 55 minutes and then come check back when it turns. Rhett and I actually talked about marking the tops of the eggs so that we would know if it was turning or not. But I think if I just monitor it for the first couple turns, that should be good enough. Pretty basic unit. It's all set and ready to go. I don't know if we can see it in there. Oh yeah, so my little pole is hugged into the tray, ready to turn. That's about it, I guess. You can see it's already coming up to 23 degrees. It's pretty efficient. All right, I'll set an alarm and see if we can't catch these things turning. I'm not sure if you saw that or if I caught it, but there was a very slight movement there. It did about a half rotation, so it's moved about an inch. You probably just saw the eggs jostling a little bit. I'm actually kind of happy with that. I thought it was going to do a full rotation of the wheel, which would mean that it would kind of end up in the same position, but it only rotated a quarter of the wheel, so I'm happy with that. That was very subtle, very quiet. And that will happen every 2 hours until day 18, at which point we will probably take the eggs out of the tray and just put them on the venting rack so that they have some separation, because between day 18 and hatching there will not be any rotation. So there we go. Probably not a whole lot more update until day 6. And that's when we can actually test the eggs with a flashlight. We can hold the eggs up to a flashlight and see if there's any embryos forming. So not a lot going on between now and 6 days from now, so we'll catch you then. Welcome back. This is day 6 of egg incubation. I apologize about the harsh lighting. I just have my laundry room light on here to illuminate the video. Maybe I can make it a little less intense. But I actually want this video to be kind of dark because we are going to illuminate the eggs to see if anything is growing inside. And so I'm going to shut this light off and then we'll turn on the headlamp and put the eggs above it. Now, I did find out what this LED light is for, and it is to illuminate the eggs so that you can see what's inside. I thought the LED light would be more like an oven light where you can just keep your eye on the eggs, but it's to actually put the eggs on. But I don't find this light to be very powerful, so I got one of our headlamps and I'm going to use this instead. And I don't know, I feel nervous. Let's see if anything is going on inside here. Now this thing will beep if it drops below temperature, so if that happens, we'll just go from there. So all you do is you just focus the light around the egg and illuminate it. Let me turn off this light. And illuminate it to see if you can actually see anything forming. I'm not seeing a lot going on in there. This is my first time doing this, so maybe I'm missing something. Next. Oh, this one does. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? It looks like a spider. We're growing spiders. That right there. Is that focused as much as possible? Let's see if I can turn that up a bit. That right there is an embryo. That's a chicken embryo. That is forming. So this is an Andalusian, a blue Andalusian egg. They lay the white eggs. So we have a baby chick. Success. This one here is an Americana egg. Sorry, try and illuminate this again. This is an Americana egg. These shells are really quite thick. So let's see if we can actually, yeah, we can't even like, that one's not even illuminating. Turn on the light here. This one's not even illuminating. The eggshell is so thick, so I actually have no idea what's going on in there. So we'll just leave that one. This one is also an Americana egg. Again, they're green and their shells are very thick, I've noticed. This one's a bit spotty, so you can actually see like it looks like a starry sky. That's really cool, actually. Look at all those spots. I wonder if that means anything. If there's anything like, let me know in the comments if that means anything. If their eggs are, the shell is just more porous, or if that's normal. You can see I think that's the yolk right there, but I can't actually tell if there's anything forming. So we'll leave that one. This is another Americana egg, but the coloring is a bit lighter. We've got an embryo. Can you see that? Right there. That right there is a chicken. So we've got an Americana egg forming. Very cool. I'm so excited. We actually have chickens forming. I wasn't sure if they were all going to be duds or not. Obviously, that's not guaranteed that the chickens are going to make it to full term, and then we'll see who hatches and where this goes. I'm pumped. It's happening. They're fertilized. They're growing. We have evidence. Keep watching. This is day 8 of egg incubation, and we have to add some more water. The middle tray is what we added water to on day 1. On day 8, you need to fill the 3 middle trays. There is a little bit of a larger fence on either side of the 3 middle trays so that you don't overflow into the outside trays. I am going to use a watering can to target those trays because I don't want to lift up the eggs or the ventilation rack. Oh, I thought it was rotating them just now. I thought I heard them rotating. So I'm just going to use a watering can to fill those 3 trays because we want to be increasing humidity as this goes along. We will fill the outside trays on day 15. I have that marked in my calendar as well. I also did another flashlight test yesterday, and there are a few more eggs that are actually developing that I couldn't see on day 6. So it's just different progressions of development. I think I mentioned in the original video that these were pulled over a 3-day period, I think, 3 or 4 days. So some of these eggs are a little further along naturally than others. Which means it will be hatching eggs anywhere from 21 to 24 days from when they first all went in. So we're going to add some humidity. Now that does beg the question of, with some eggs being further along, should you really be increasing humidity if some eggs aren't there yet? I don't know how specific that science needs to be. So we're just going to go with the day they all got added in. So we'll lift off the lid here. It is a little tricky to tell how full the tray is. Okay, all 3 middle trays are full of water. So we're increasing humidity, and then we won't add water again until day 15, but I do feel like I'm going to need to keep monitoring the water level. So I'm going to leave the watering can here so that I can do that. And that's all for day 8. We'll catch you maybe in a week. And we'll do another flashlight test to see how far along the eggs are and if any more have developed since the start. Today is day 15 and we are going to be adding some more water to the chicken eggs to increase the humidity. I'm also going to be doing a flashlight test today to show you guys how much the eggs are coming along. There are for sure 4 eggs that just have no activity going on in them, so we're going to pull those out today and just throw them away. And then there was an egg that got started, but then it looks like the embryo did not make it because it almost looks atrophied inside. So we'll get rid of that one as well. There are probably 6 or 7 eggs that are for sure coming along really, really well. So I want to do another flashlight test to kind of show you how those are coming along. First, we will add the water. There is a drain if you overfill. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, we'll call it there. And then I will keep adding water to make sure the humidity does stay increased. Now, for the flashlight test, I am going to close my blinds so that we can just have a little bit more focused light on the eggs itself. Okay, we can still see, not great, but we can see. This is the one that's been really active the whole time. So I hope it's doing well. You can see it there. This one is also quite dark, but it is getting hard to tell like what actually is going on. You can see there is quite a dark spot right there, which would be the chicken. This is the last time I am going to be doing the flashlight test. I will just be leaving them after this for them to evolve naturally. You can see again there. We will also stop turning the eggs quite soon. This one's the smallest one. If you can see that again. There's a dark spot right there. Right there. It's not moving a ton, so it is hard to tell if they... Oh my goodness, it looks like there's 2. Sometimes it is hard to tell if they are alive or not. So the term don't count your chickens before they hatch is a very real term. I'd be happy if we got 3. I'd be happy if we got 3 little babies out of this. So I'm hoping for 3 to 5. Like I said, we can't hold out for too much. These 3 here, nothing developed. And then these 2 definitely look like something started. Or this one didn't develop, and this one, something developed, but then it didn't make it. So I'm going to be getting rid of these 5. We'll be holding on to these 7. And yeah, I'd be happy for 3 to 5. The next thing I'm going to do is get their brooder ready, which I might do today if I have time. It might be Sunday, just depending on how the weekend goes. But we're going to get their brooder ready because some of these chicks should be expected to hatch by Thursday of next week. It's Friday today, so Thursday to Sunday next week is kind of the hatching window as far as day 21 goes for these little guys. So we won't be adding any further water to increase humidity. We're just going to keep the water levels up to where they are now. And then in a few days, we're actually going to stop turning some of the eggs. I'm going to be a bit selective about that, but I'll talk about that when that day comes. Welcome back. We are at like day 16 with the chickens, I think, in the incubator. And they are coming along, but the term don't count your chickens before they hatch is very, very real because 4 were never fertilized and we definitely lost 1. And I'm kind of curious about a couple others, whether or not they're going to make it. So I am preparing their brooder today because if the timeline is correct, we should see our first chicken hatch by Thursday, and it's Sunday right now. So Thursday to Sunday next weekend should be the hatching time, and I want to get this ready now because I'm back to work tomorrow. So I bought this big Rubbermaid that they can live in for at least the first few weeks, and then when they get too big, we'll transfer them to an outside brooder. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill this with some wood chips in the bottom. So let's start doing that. Buckets are a farmer's best friend. I'm going to start with that. Baby chicks poop a lot. And so you may find that you're changing the chips out pretty regularly. And one thing we sometimes do with baby chicks is we'll actually just put gloves on and pull the poops out and then smooth the chicks around, or the chips around, but obviously they're peeing in there too. So we're gonna start with that, which I think is good for now. And I'll give you close-ups of all this as well so you can kind of see what's happening. The next thing we're gonna put in here is our warming plate. Now we opt for a warming plate over a heat lamp. Everyone talks about how dangerous heat lamps are. They cause fires, the bulbs can break. It's like, it can be really hot heat for the chicks too. They don't like it as much, they avoid it. A heat plate is more consistent and safer. It also has threaded legs, so you can thread the legs down or up to increase the height of the heat plate. Obviously the chicks are going to be just little babies when they first hatch, so we'll keep the heat plate fairly low to the wood chips so that they can get that warmth. And I was hoping that it would fit this way, and that's why I bought the biggest one possible, and it does. So we'll tuck the heat plate right to the one side. Animals in general like to know that they're very safe and enclosed in. So if the heat plate is against the walls, then they can just tuck right into the corners. And this is actually like, maybe I'll just tip it. This is the perfect amount of space, really. So they have their heat plate over here, and then we'll put their water and the food trough on this side. And I would say, I would feel comfortable raising like 6 or 8 chicks in this easily. Any more than that, and it would probably just be a 1-week brooder until you have to get them something a little bit bigger. But for our chicks, I think I could pull this off for at least 2, if not 3 weeks, depending on how quickly they grow. The next thing we're gonna put in is their food trough. Everyone has lots of different opinions as to what to use for a food trough and why. We really like this one because it gives lots of access on either side, and we usually use this when we have our like large amount of meat birds come in. It also, the top does slide, a little less so as it gets used, so you can fill it quite easily. We even find putting it in a Rubbermaid with the food and just dumping the food on top so it fills is good. We will do a starter mix for these birds. We usually feed our chicks organic, and then we move them up to more of a regular feed when they're adults. But we like to start them off organic just because they're babies and they need that nutrient. So we'll put the food trough in here. Doesn't quite fit this way, but that's okay. We'll put it this way so it has access on both sides. Another thing we like to do is sort of smush it down into the wood chips so that it's more beak level. And then a water trough. We just like this one to start off for the baby chicks because it's nice and small and they can't drown in it. It's quite low. We'll also usually put rocks in here so that they can't drown. That's actually a huge problem when it comes to baby chicks, is drowning in their water, believe it or not. And so we usually start them off with something super little, then we put rocks in it, and then this obviously just feeds like a normal water trough. The other thing we'll do is for baby chicks, and we'll go into this more once they're actually here, is we will put electrolytes in their water and even a bit of apple cider vinegar so that they get good nutrient right off the bat. Another thing you want to do when they're a couple weeks old or even a week old is start putting grit in their food, which really helps with digestion. So we'll keep this nearby. They still need to buy their starter feed. I'll probably pick up some electrolytes, but as far as the brooder goes, this will be the setup for the baby chicks when they get here. And I'm probably even just gonna leave it on this table because it's by our heater, which will be nice and warm, and it's by the incubator, which is just right here. So when they're ready to go, we can just plop them in. This is gonna be our setup for when they arrive, and fingers crossed, if all goes well, I'm hoping for 3 to 5 baby chicks. That would make me very happy. Right now we've got 7 eggs in there that look like they're viable. It is hard to tell. I'm not doing the flashlight test anymore because I want to stop blinding them. And I don't really know how much that jostling and light and all that really affects them. So this is the first time we've raised baby chicks from incubation, and we're getting the brooder ready, or the nursery ready, if you will. And hopefully Thursday we will see them. But other than that, we got the brooder ready to go, and hopefully we have baby chicks on Thursday. Stay tuned. Good morning. It is quite early in the morning right now. It's just 5 a.m. It's usually when I get up, but I try not to do these videos until I've actually woken up a little bit. But it's day 18, and so we're gonna stop turning the eggs here. But some of the eggs are a little farther along than others, and
I'm really actually starting to getting leery of checking on them and doing the flashlight test because I really don't want to be disturbing them. And I'm starting to get to that point where I'm afraid that they're not going to make it. The one that had a lot of activity doesn't really seem to be moving much anymore, which is a little worrying to me. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to leave them kind of spaced out in here. And then I'm not going to connect the little spike up here to this guy. I'm actually going to leave the trays separate now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling a little discouraged because it just seems... Actually, I'm just going to remove the tray altogether. It just seems like there's not a lot of activity going on in the eggs anymore. And I'm worried that none are actually going to hatch at this point. So it is day 18. This is when you stop turning. So I'm just going to fully remove the tray. Technically, they should be hatching on Thursday, but I just don't really see a lot of growth in the eggs anymore. And so I'm just worried at this point. Anyway, stay tuned. Today is day 21. And I'm so anxious about these little eggs hatching. This one right here has a crack. I think it might be cracking. I really want to catch them hatching on camera. I might have to stand here and observe until it happens. This one right here twitched when I was checking. So I feel like someone's trying to get out of that one. But I'm so nervous. But this one right here has a crack. It's actually happening. This one here that has the crack in it is twitching and moving. I don't know if you can see that. That's a green egg, so that's an Americana hen. We have 2 Americana roosters and an Andalusian. So we're not sure who's fertilized it, but this one's definitely gearing up to come out. Okay, because we're new to this, I had to know how long it takes for the chick to actually hatch from the egg once it pips through, it's called. Pips. Maybe that's where we get peeps from, you know, the little peep chicks. So apparently they will break through the shell and then begin to breathe air with their lungs. And it can take 24 hours for them to actually fully break forth from the egg after they've pipped. So I think this chick is pipping once it fully breaks through there, and then it'll start breathing with its lungs. So my plan was to sit here until they hatched, but I don't know that I can sit here for 24 hours. So we'll have to keep checking back and see what's going on. But that one's definitely the most progressed, and I've seen this one twitch a whole bunch. So hopefully 2 for sure. We still have 7 in here. We'll see how many we get. I really want to catch one breaking through, and this one is the closest, but it could be up to 24 hours. So who knows? I may wake up all night long checking on them.
Are the chickens hatching? Are there baby chicks hatching? Are you going to be a big brother to some baby chickens? We're going to have some baby chickens. Do you want that? Do you want the baby chickens? Here's the baby chickens. Baby chickens, Bentley.
I can't believe this. I've been gone 2 hours. And of course, little chick hatches in that time. Now you're not supposed to handle them too much. Let's see if I can sneak the camera in there. Until they dry out. They need to dry out a little bit before you handle them. There's its egg. The little turkey. Hatching while I'm away. What a beauty. What a little beauty. Super active. Oh dear. You did it. Thought I was gonna have to help him, so I paused the video but turned himself over. They say you need to give them until their feathers dry off before you handle them. Oh my goodness, look at this thing!